Who wants to see me stab Toph in the face?
Hey, look, I got a sword too. Hello.
Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
But I have a sword.
As do I.
Whose is bigger?
It's not the size that matters. It's not the size that matters.
I'm Brad Lake.
I'm Topher Ferguson.
And we're Bad at Board Games, so you don't have to be Toph. That's my new favorite. It really is.
I'm glad. I'm glad for you. And to be honest, I don't think you need to be Toph.
You want to be Brad?
No, you definitely don't need that either. Oh, well.
What are we talking about today?
It's another fun day here at Bad at Board Games.
We've spent 20 minutes trying to put the mic above his head.
Welcome to my life. This is what we do on a fun Saturday afternoon. So today we are talking about For Glory, a deck builder combat-driven game. So, yeah, should be fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Stick around to the end. You'll find out what our BGG rating is and what we think of it solo, what I think of it solo, and some stories and pros and cons, all the fun things that you may need to make a decision if this is the right game for you.
Yes.
So what do we have first? Who's the designer?
So For Glory is designed by Alex Wolff. It is published by Spielcraft Games, which I just learned is a U.S. publisher, which is pretty exciting. So a fun little game. Actually, I think some excellent quality, a little bit, or I should say a lot, in a little box. So.
Yep, I really like the theme. You have gladiator combat, and there's a bit of a twist because it is a card game, and I can't say I'm like a lover of card games anymore. You kind of go through those phases, I think, in gaming. But this had a different twist on it. The first one was just a one-on-one, and I don't think I would have been that interested in it. But when they came out with the second Kickstarter and this expansion, you could get the base game again. They made it so 3 or 4 people could play it, and then they added a solo variant to it. And I got really hyped about it. You know, it was another one of those Quacklope things, and him and Shira were really into it. I'm like, oh, maybe this would be a game I could get Ara into. So the theme is gladiator combat. It's got, you know, cool savage blow. There's blood, you know, all the very gladiator, realistic drawing kind of pictures that are in this around ancient Rome and that time. So cool theme.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think the appearance is pretty good. What are your thoughts on kind of the bloody artwork as a game that you are potentially thinking might be for you and Ara?
I love it. So I don't know if she'll like it, but I think what drew it to me is like, okay, here's a couple that likes it, and I'm like, oh well, I want to get her into board games. And this Kickstarter was so long ago that I wasn't. Like, I was just trying to find anything at that time. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, this is a game we could play together. You know, this couple enjoys it. I'm hoping and then I have found more what Ara's niche is. So I don't think this is it, but it's worked well for the rest of us. Yeah,
so, I agree with that. As we've mentioned, this is a deck builder game. It is a card-driven game. I love card-driven games. And this one is, I think, a little bit of a twist on what I would consider to be a regular deck builder game itself. So when it comes to mechanics, there are quite a handful of things that are going on, but there are not a lot of mechanics itself. So why don't we talk about the game, not a teach. We're not going to talk about a teach, but why don't we talk about how the game plays, and maybe we can incorporate what those mechanics are as we talk about kind of the overview of the game.
Yeah, and I've done this in one other video with Ara, and we're going to maybe try to incorporate this in. It's just we're going to put up, like right here, the steps, the phases of the game. So it kind of gives you an idea of what the phases are. We're not going to go into super detail about it, but you can like, oh, there's 7 phases. It says to my turn. And then we'll talk about other things. So let us know what you think about this section that we're adding to our reviews.
Yeah. So jumping into that, this game is going to have kind of 2, we'll call them phases. So I'm going to talk about the first phase. I'll let Brad talk about the second phase, and you'll see our personalities come out in that. But classic deck builder. So here's the deck builder part of the game. 2 phases. You got the machination phase. You also have the arena phase. I'm going to go over the first section here. So broken up, 6 steps, not overly complex, but here's how we go. First thing you're going to do is ready your playing area. This is going to be the beginning of any of your player phases where you may have cards that are tapped. You're going to untap them. You're going to make sure that you've got the required number of cards in your actual hand. Then you're going to start with the economic phase of the game. There's a market. We're going to be able to go out. We're going to be able to buy some more cards to add into our discard pile to be able to be then shuffled and drawn into your hand to go into battle or go into play. So that is going to be the second part of it. Third phase, we are going to discard our remaining hand after we go through the market phase. Again, standard deck builder. This is what we know. Get rid of all of our cards, then we're going to refill and draw our hand back up. This game, we're going to be playing with 7 cards in our hand at any given time. So discard, draw up 7 new cards, hopefully good cards that you've been able to buy, eventually call some other cards out so you get rid of the garbage, and then you're ready for the possible arena phase. And this is where we check to see if we're going to go into combat. And that check, I think, in this game is unique because it's going to change just a little bit. So jumping into the arena phase, Brad, how do we see if we're into that phase?
Yeah, so you're going to go through what Toph just said multiple times, probably like 5 to 6 rounds. So you're going to be building up, getting cards, drawing up, getting through your whole deck in the first round before you ever even fight. Because you have these cards over here, and there's stacked depending on how many players there are. And we don't actually battle in an arena until we have gladiators where the total gladiator strength is equal to the boast. And so you have 3 arenas out here. You're going to have the life arena, and I'm going to get the names wrong, but I kind of call them, there's 2 temporary arenas, and there's 1 permanent arena. You will always be battling in the permanent arena, and then you will be battling in one of the 2 side arenas. Whichever gladiator goes there first, that's the side arena that you're going to battle in. If you win the main arena, you'll get 2 victory points, these diamonds or whatever they're called in the game. And if you're in the side arena, you're only going to get 1. So it's a race to 6 gems, victory points, however you want to look at it. 6 glory. That's right. They're called glory.
The game is called 4 glory.
So, go figure. Yeah. Brad will get all this stuff right sooner or later. But that triggers the fight. So you're trying to build up things. You're trying to buy gladiators. You're trying to be able to have things available to you. And then it's kind of this strategy. Toph put his level 1 gladiator out there and we have to go to 6. Do I go ahead and put one out there? I got to make sure I have something in that arena. Otherwise he automatically gets it. And so it's kind of this like bluffing. When am I going to trigger going into battle? And then once you're in the battle phase, you have late registration. You will have a hand of cards, and you'll get to look at it during the fight phase. And if you have some gladiators still in your hand that you didn't put out, you can pay 3 coins to then place them into the arena. And so that's kind of another bluffing kind of a thing because you can't carry cards over. It's a deck builder. You're going to discard them. So you're hoping, am I going to have a gladiator and potentially enough coins to then, oh, you have 2 gladiators. Well, now all of a sudden I have 3. Or I have 4 because I had enough money, right? But you don't know what you're going to get in your hand when it's time to battle. Then you're going to start fighting. And it's kind of, you start using dexterity in this where whoever's faster is going to go first. So whichever team is faster is going to go first. So you add up the dexterity on your side in each arena, the dexterity in the others. Whoever has the highest then goes. And then it's back and forth battle. And then the battle works where I'm going to attack. You assign the damage, but then Toph might have a card or something that would allow him to deflect it or put it on somebody else. But if they don't, then that damage is permanently on that gladiator, and then it can't be removed. You can't heal them after they've been damaged. And then you go through this series of attacks, and you can also reserve cards in Toph's phase that you could use where they're these tactics cards, and I could play those tactic cards during the battle if I pay for them. So that's another mechanic. But you're going to sit there and go back and forth until only one person's left, and it's one each battle. You get a card, it gives you a little buff, you get your glory points, and then you head all the way back
to the beginning,
back to the machinations phase. So it's just this, you have these 2 unique phases where you're trying to build up and get more powerful, and then actually see how powerful you are when the battle actually starts. So I think that's kind of cool because it feels like a little bit different mechanic than I've ever experienced in this kind of game.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. It's definitely, for me, I like the deck builder side of it more than I like the fighting side. And it gives me, in a game that I feel is combat heavy, the ability to jump into it and be like, oh, wait, okay, hold on. I can curate my hand exactly how I want it to be. I can bring politicians in that are going to be able to help me get more gladiators out. You have to build almost an engine in this game. You have to build up your entire empire, if you will, in order to be able to afford, whether it's through money or through your political clout, the gladiators that you're going to be able to put out. And then you're going to want other things that are coming in to assist you in other ways as well. Maybe they're going to bring you more money so that you could afford the ability to pay for these gladiators or these late registrants or the reserve cards. There's all these fun things that, as the Euro gamer, as this big person who loves deck builders and other games like this, I get that enjoyment before I have to go into the battle. And that I think is the unique thing, the fun thing with this.
Yeah.
At least that's what I've been enjoying.
Yeah, and I would say, like, you're used to Magic. Oh, I'm tapping, now I'm attacking. There's this whole economic deck builder side that you really get to try to build your deck. And then it's like, okay, now I battle. And you or your opponent's trying to figure out who's going to trigger that to then, we're going to go to battle. But I really wanted more and more around of going and trying to buy something.
Yeah. And one thing that I enjoy, I think we're kind of getting into some of our pros with this, but the fact that the battle side of it still has this random nature of deck builders. So you are curating your deck, but you're not curating your hand and holding it over long term to be able to save or afford the cards that you want to maybe add into the battle side. And that's, for somebody that doesn't like that conflict, playing against maybe your sons who are really good at the combat side, and I'm not at all. I don't feel like I'm getting run over quite as bad.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of that fun in it.
Yeah. Some of my pros, I have to reiterate, like, I like this separation and buying market phase side, because you can sit there and you can go through it 5 or 10 minutes and then, I was really hoping you weren't going to, like, put another gladiator down, but you did. And now I have to, like, react, The gladiators can go out, and then you also have this reserve, and it's kind of a con, and we'll get to that with the tactics cards. But as you're playing things, you can reserve those tactics cards to use later in the fight. So, you can't hold on to gladiators, but you can hold on to some tactics that'll be like major slash or, shield or defense or something like that. And you're going to have those, right? So it just begins this tug of war back and forth. And then in the battle, I like just this, okay, who am I going to attack? Which ones should I get rid of first? I know I'm going to get hit once and my guy's going to be dead as soon as it's his turn. So what do I do with this guy? Things like that. So it's I like the strategy in it and the tactics in it. Yeah. So any other pros for you?
Well, breaking that into smaller ideas, I like some of the historical aspects that are changing. And I'm not saying that this is true to history, but the feel of having the different types of cards that are taking you down different routes, maybe in terms of how to play. Like, I have not figured out, here's the one way to play this game and win. I think Brad's played it a lot more than I have. I think he has come up with some good strategies to it, but I have enjoyed the fact that I could look into this strategy and see this, but then there's also this card over here that's taken me in this completely different mindset of play. That's something that I enjoy in it, because I haven't found this is just, okay, we're doing this, then we're doing that, and that's it, and there's nothing else to do. So I enjoy that part of it as well. It's definitely something that I had to wrap my head around. Okay, well, I need this. I need to build up my gladiators, but at the same time, I can't just build up gladiators only, because I only have so much clout to be able to play so many of them at a time. And so you kind of get in this, oh, wait, that's a really cool idea of, oh, that's a very powerful gladiator, but I have no way of being able to play him. I've got to figure out how to build up my engine in order to be able to do that. That's kind of the big thing for me. I think it's very tight. I think that's something I do enjoy. Sometimes I don't enjoy that in a game, but the tightness for me comes in the amount of money that you have, which is going to come into play when it comes to things like your reserve and late registrants. There's only so much money that you have that can be held over, and I think that's hard to get for me. And that means that neither of us are going to be steamrolling over each other, but at the same time, it's something that you're consciously thinking of as you're playing of, oh, okay, I've got the money that's in my hand and a deck builder, but then I also have some coins that I can win and I can get in specific ways to hold over as a reserve that I could use later to play. How can I get this, and how can I balance deck builder versus saving these for something later? That's a fun play in my head.
Yeah. Another pro I would say is, you do have two different kinds of coins, like he said, but you can't just play like in Magic. You would have mana or the lands and everything. You'd have to tap things to get a monster out. This has senators that have tags on the senators, and you have to have enough tags to equal the tags,
the value
on the gladiators. Some have 1, some have 0, where you don't need to have any for your senators, and some have 2. I haven't seen any that have 3, but you can only put out as many gladiators that equal the tags that you have from the Senate.
Yeah.
So there's this, like, I can't just throw anything I want out, you know, and I can't just buy anything I want, but.
And then there's opportunities to kind of use these and spend them, and then you don't have them available to put out the gladiator that you want. And that's another fun pull with this game of balancing. It's another economic part of the game of balancing how you use your senators and your politicians to then do something else.
Yeah. On to cons, I think I'll go first. One of my, and maybe I haven't figured out how to play these yet, but all the games we've had, the person who wins hasn't needed to look at buying tactics cards at all. Like on my first game, I wanted to see what tactics cards would do, and this is the boosts, the boons for your gladiator when you finally get into the match, right? But they, do 3 points of damage or something like that. But I never found like I could it supplements, but you can't like go down that path of, I've got a whole bunch of tactics cards, I got a couple gladiators. You better have strong gladiators, and those strong gladiators will overthrow that all the time. So that's kind of I wish there was a little bit of, I think there's some balancing issues where I'm like, I don't feel like I have to buy a tactic card in the game to win or be competitive. So that, you're really, when you're buying the market, you're looking for senators, you're looking for money, and then you're looking for gladiators. So that's a con for me, but we'll still get into my rating later, but that is one of mine. Yours?
Yeah. I feel like there is, even though there is this deck builder side that I can build an engine up so that we're not completely steamrolling over each other, there is a moment, and I found this, that all of a sudden you can think, I'm never going to be able to win this game. I think with two players that are well balanced, I think it would play out different. But like when I first played this game, I didn't have the background, and all of a sudden it was like, I've got 1 glory point, Brad has like 4. There's absolutely no way. And then in your mind, you're thinking, okay, well, I could go for the higher arena, the main arena, to get 2 points, because if he goes for that one and wins, that's the game. But if I go for that one to try to ensure I'm winning, then I'm losing on this one, which means Brad's now only 1 point away from winning. It doesn't matter which arena he wins the next game, it's done. And so in my mind, I could quickly get into this. There's absolutely no way to play. And then you've got to come up with, what type of gamer are you? Are you okay with that and continuing to play, which I want to do? But at the same time, it's like, oh, well, that battle is just going to be nothing for me.
And you won that game.
I did win the game.
So you gotta realize there's a potential that you can still win the game, but you don't know it. Sometimes you may not feel it. There's other times I would agree.
Yeah.
And my son, his negative was that you could he steamrolled me real quick. Like he was able to come up, but some people are just good at those kind of games. So you kind of got to realize that as well. And then you have to start playing the meta, so to speak, with the people that you play with.
And that's not me. I'm not a metagamer, so
and I don't mean meta, but like if somebody continues to go after gladiators, you're going to have to be like, okay, well, I'm not going to let you just roll away with it. I'm also going to be getting enough gladiators because I see what you're doing. So you're just I'm going to take that way for you to win easily away.
Yeah. And
So
I think where also in my mind it kind of shifted was we had the Gladiators coming out, and they're random. It's a deck that's shuffled together, and then all of a sudden there's like a gold Gladiator that's coming out that's like, if you get that card, you absolutely are going to win. It's very expensive, and all of a sudden Brad and I were like fighting for it, and you picked it up. Now I'm surprised that you still did not win the game, but I think it was because it's a deck builder. It goes into your discard,
right.
and I was able to come back before you were able to get that card in your hand.
Right. And you still have to, like, you may get a great Gladiator, but that Gladiator is going to use up a lot of
Your politicians.
With these symbols on it. And then, you know, if you've been neglecting the politician side, you're like, well, I could have this really great Gladiator and have 2 out, or am I going to use these 3 Gladiators to then potentially like have enough hit points and have enough attacks that I could have one guy still alive at the end? You know, it's an interesting balance.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to read on the cards. I don't see this as a con, but I know that this could be something that some people would have a difficult time with, because the Gladiators are going to play different, and they're going to give you some very special abilities, which I think is a fun part. That's what I enjoyed about the combat was, I had one that would allow me to assign damage in different ways, or would allow me to take the damage that was assigned to another Gladiator in the same arena and kind of sacrifice himself to save the good Gladiator for better combat. You know, there's some cool things that some of the Gladiators can do. A pro for me, but it means a lot of reading, and it often means I'm asking Brad, wait, what does your Gladiator do, so that I can try to combat it a little bit better. And so that can slow down the game, I think, in the beginning until you really get to know it. But if you're not wanting to sit and read a lot of cards, be prepared for that, because there's some pretty cool things on these cards, but at the same time, there's a lot of different cards with different abilities.
Yeah. But I would say, I'm going to go back to some pros, and then we'll go on to our weight ratings and such. It's easy to learn. I didn't find, like, you're going to need to read the rules in it because it's a little bit different, but I didn't find it like, what the heck are they talking about here? It didn't hurt me. I wouldn't say it's not like learning Uno, but it wasn't anywhere near some of the hardest rule sets that I have. It's like, okay, I understand what this section is now. How do I understand what fighting is, right? So I did enjoy that. And then I like the expansion. The expansion allows you to bring in, you get to randomly pick Gladiator, and that Gladiator has 5 levels. And so you can continue, instead of playing that Gladiator out into an arena, you can choose to discard it, pay the upgrade price, and it continues to upgrade. And they get really powerful, and they get cool abilities and things. So like, I like that section. It came with extra cards and all the stuff you would expect just to make it more random. And then it has the solo. But I would say this Champions deck and the solo version for the expansion, that's really, I would probably be fine with that. You know, having the extra cards and extra arenas and stuff, I don't notice it because I just mix everything in as soon as I got it. But definitely like the Champions pack. Definitely like the solo version of it.
Yeah, I have not played the expansion yet, so I'm kind of out of the blue on that one. The solo, have you soloed it?
I have soloed it. So my son soloed it, and he's like, man, this solo, he likes the game, and he was like, this is brutal. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to play the solo. And he's right. It's tough. Like, but I liked it in a way that, like, well, I wasn't just winning, you know, and I thought it played fairly easily. You're basically just flipping over a card and you're looking to see what it says, and then you're, placing things here and there, and the battle was fast, and it was fast. But another pro, I would say, solo or multiplayer, it doesn't take as long to play this game as they say on the box. This may be the first game I've seen it says, like, I don't know, 30 minutes per player, 40 to 90 minutes. This is not 40 to 90 minutes. I've had this game last 20 minutes, maybe 30. Like, it plays faster than that.
Even with the
great.
Teach. Yeah, even with the Teach, I didn't think it took that long.
It didn't take us that long to play.
No, and the base game is saying 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah, I would say that's the nice thing about this, is that you are not going to spend as much time playing this, which I find nice in a game like this. This is more, I think this, time-wise, is perfect. Now, I have not played it at 3 and 4 yet, but I want to. But the base game's a 2-player game, and it's not 60 to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I would not like this at 60 to 90 minutes.
I agree with that. I don't know if I would like this at 3 or 4, to be honest. Even though I don't want the combat necessarily always in my games between 2 players, I can't imagine this playing 3 or 4.
I just want to play it to see what the chaos is like.
Yeah, I think that's what it would be pure chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is interesting. This is, I think, the first time I've seen an expansion lower the amount of time that a game takes to play. So the base game 60 to 90, the expansion is 45 to whatever 90.
Yeah.
I think no, it's not. You can't read. Welcome to Bad at
it does say
reading.
60 to 90. Oops, sorry.
I was like, that's shocking to me.
It doesn't take that long.
Yeah. Don't mind us. We can't read. Well, he can't read.
We're gonna move on. Weight rating.
Yes. So this game is coming in on BGG at 2.5 in terms of the weight rating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I've played it enough to be able to really give it a deep rating, but with the games that I've played, 2.5 is about right.
I would agree. I think that's.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. I would absolutely say that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of reading on the cards. So, that first play or 2, you're going to be kind of reading to see what's going on, but it's not complex.
Right.
It might slow down a little bit with it. It's not going to be Dominion in terms of deck builder because there's so much more to it. But at the same time, we're not sitting down and playing this, heavy battle game. It's combat mechanic inside of a deck builder.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's an easily midweight game. 2.5, I agree.
And then our value rating, so you can get the base game without the metal components and the metal coins and the wooden pieces. You can get this for $50 from their website. I don't know if Miniature Market or any of the others have picked it up, but it is in stock on their website, Spielcraft. And then if you want this version that has all the deluxeification, this base box is $70, so you're paying for all the metal.
Mm-hmm.
And then this expansion is $40. Now, and I didn't look. If you can buy just the Champions pack, I would say maybe just buy this individually, but I'm not sure you can get this without getting the whole expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you're going to enjoy this game a lot more if you can get this expansion pack by itself. So I don't think it's an essential expansion. If you want to play solo, you have to go this route. If you want to play 3 and 4 player, you have to go this route. So you're looking at $90 to $110 depending on if you want deluxe or not. Mm-hmm. So I think at 110, and I got the all in, obviously. I'm enjoying the game. I think it's costs too much, but I'm still enjoying it. I don't feel like I got hammered or like some of these things I've been getting, like when I got Vindication, I'm like, what the game was, even though it's a good game, I shouldn't have got all of this stuff. It wasn't worth that. So is this worth 110? Probably not. I would say it's sub 2.5, 275 if you're going to get the deluxe and everything. But I enjoy the gameplay. I think at $90 where you're getting all of this, it's getting better. Maybe it's a 3. If you just want this experience at 2 players and can forgo, this makes it more fun, but it's still fun without this little box. Then you're probably getting into that 3.5 value for the experience. But, our BGG rating may change your mind. You may find it's a good value. So
yeah.
What do you think?
BGG rating or value rating?
Well, you can say both. What do you think about the value?
I think it's priced too high.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I agree with you with that. I will say, however, these coins are nice.
Yeah, the components,
the upgraded components are definitely worth $20.
Metal helmet, and you get these little metal swords, and
the $20 for the upgraded components, I think, is worth it. But I don't think. I think it's still $20, $25 higher than it probably should be, in my opinion.
If they have it at Miniature Market or one of the other ones, it probably won't be 50 and 70, right?
Yeah.
It probably, they always retail cheaper, but this is directly from their site, and I just don't know if it's broad retail or not.
Yeah. Now, I support paying full price MSRP to support the designers and publishers, but at the same time, for me, I think it's a little too high. So that might, you'll see probably my BGG rating is probably going to be reflective of not the price, but along the same lines. I am giving this a 7 out of 10 for my BGG rating. I enjoy it enough to play it. If Brad says, hey, let's sit down and play it, I'm probably going to do so. If his sons say, let's sit down and play it, I'm probably going to pass because I'm going to get steamrolled, and the cons that I had are going to come into it pretty quick with that. And that's not a jab against them, but they're very good at combat games. Very good at combat games. So yeah, it's okay. You know, I enjoyed it. I will say, I really enjoyed the play. If we don't pull this out on a regular basis, I'm okay with that. So 7 for me. What about for you?
So I'm going to say it's a 7.5, and I usually like to try to go solid ratings, but there's a reason I'm going to say it's a 7.5. I think, you know, can I fully recommend it? I can recommend the base game and playing it, and it's fun, right? But my son thinks this is an 8. So like, I just want you to know, like, there's always going to be this range of what people like, right? I enjoyed playing it, and I've been kind of like, I was like super hyped when I kickstarted it, which I think everybody is when they get it, but then it kind of like fell off the map, and it took a little bit longer. It didn't take forever to get, which was nice, but it wasn't like within a year either. And so, you know, when it finally showed up, I'm like, yeah, now I have to learn this game. And then I played it. I'm like, well, this isn't bad. You know, I'm not great at it, but then, you know, I've played it again and I've played it again, and I'm like, I'm enjoying the puzzle to try to get better, where sometimes it's just like I'm losing and I'm like, all right, I am not enjoying even losing, so I'm not enjoying this game at all. I enjoyed playing the game whether I won or lost. So to me, that's why I'm going to say it's a 7.5. I don't think it's an 8 where I'm like, go out and get this. You know, to me, if I'm going to tell you it's an 8, you know, I'm really recommending you to buy it. So it's kind of on that edge. 7 is, I want to play it. I think it's great, you know, but there's a lot of good games. So
that there are.
Yeah.
A lot of good games.
Yeah. So 8s are really the ones I want to continue to play, even though I may not be able to play them.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So
I'm not disappointed that I played it. And I don't think you would be either, but I wasn't blown away.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you want to tell them what they should be doing? We're close to 3,000 subscribers. We could use your help.
Which is wild. So yeah, we would love to have more of you. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, we'd love to have you at the table, sitting down, listening to us banter and whatever it might be, messing up, reading rules and numbers on boxes. We'd love to have you sticking around, so please consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. We'd love to see that as well. It lets us know what it is that you guys are enjoying, so that we know what it is that you want us to continue producing content for. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe if you're not yet subscribed.
And just remember, no matter how you play, whether it's solo, with family, or friends,
enjoy whatever games you are bringing to the table.
Have a great night.
Bye.